Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Jim Fitzpatrick, exclusively on ASBN.com.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for tuning in to another edition of The Small Business Show, exclusively right here at ASBN.com and now streaming on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Unexpected twists and turns are part of having a business. Joining us now to discuss how to thrive in chaos, and I know you all have got to learn this, serial entrepreneur and keynote speaker Corinne Hancock Scott joins us today to talk about this. She's also, I might add, a TEDx speaker. Thank you so much, Corinne, for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Sure. So before we get started, share your story with our audience. I know they may not be as familiar in some cases with you as we are here. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, and why do I talk about chaos, right?
That's right.
So my background is I'm a cultural anthropologist, but as a cultural anthropologist, I focused on conflict resolution and crisis management. And I spent my career as an international aid and development worker, working in some of the most chaotic environments around the globe. And Now I help leaders and teams thrive in chaos.
Well, I'm sure that your phone never stops ringing because
It's
right
true.
now with all that's going on in the world and in business and all of the interruptions out there, there's a lot of chaos going on, right? So
It sure is. Yeah. And, I'm a mother of teenage boys. So
that'll
pretty
do it
much
right
the
there.
source of it. I started a couple companies with my husband and, all of the things that go along with just the normal life stuff as well.
Sure, for sure. So as an expert on chaos, how can entrepreneurs cultivate resilience to navigate chaos?
Well, first, I think we need to actually define what chaos is, because it's really about your relationship with it. When you hear that word, and what do you really think of when you hear the word chaos? Because chaos is actually just confusion and disorder. And I think people think their lives are in complete chaos all the time when really they're just really busy.
Yeah.
And so we have to start to think about it's more about our relationship and our reaction to when these unexpected events hit. And so when you start to decide and design your relationship with chaos, you can start to navigate through it much easier because it's more about your response versus the reaction that you have when these unexpected events happen. And unfortunately, you're never going to be chaos proof, but you can be chaos ready.
I'm so glad you said that because I think a lot of people, friends of mine that are new entrepreneurs or people that are new to being self-employed or what have you, and even people that work for companies, they're always looking for that calm and I can't wait to get to that point in my life when I don't have chaos. And I'm so glad you mentioned that. We live in a chaotic type life, don't we? I mean, it would be so hard. You'd have to go out on maybe a desert island somewhere and say, okay, I have no chaos going on here. But
well, and again, I think it's separating this idea of a crisis versus chaos, because again, chaos is that confusion and disorder that happens when unexpected events continue to happen, and they will always keep happening in all shapes and sizes, and especially in new businesses, existing businesses. I have, organizations ask me all the time, they're like, Corinne, can you come in and chaos proof our organization? And I'm like, no, but I can help you get more chaos ready, which means helping you understand how to navigate when these challenges hit, when these unexpected events hit. How are you going to move from that reaction of that frustration, anger, disappointment into an effective response that's more moving forward through the challenge?
Sure. So what steps should be taken to develop effective crisis management plans?
Well, one is that I think what's interesting is if you notice, the bigger the crisis, the less that we get stuck in the chaos. We move very quickly to solutions when our lives are at stake,
when
with
good point.
serious impacts happening.
Yeah.
But when we look at the life as just someone showing up late, or an order getting messed up, or a change in an interest rate, or something that has a devastating effect in that moment, it's allowing ourselves a moment to feel that feeling of that effect. I mean, it sucks. I say embrace the suck of it, and sort of you gotta let yourself feel it for a moment and then decide, What are you actually trying to accomplish? What is the mission that we're on? What is the day going to look like? And it's always about pulling it in and breaking it down to more micro-sized missions, is what I call them, because we're never going to be able to take on this giant, huge issue. It's always about pulling it into the right here, right now, and still with the big mission and the big plan in view, but pulling it into what can I actually accomplish right now based on what I have and the resources around me.
Right, right. And how can entrepreneurs leverage chaotic experiences to improve their business models or their strategies?
Well, I think you have to get into this relationship with chaos and see it as an advantage, finding it as something that you can learn from, because chaos builds incredible opportunity. If you really think about it, some of our greatest moments in our life, our greatest lessons, our greatest accomplishments come on the other side of pushing through those challenging times. And so it's really taking some time to debrief about it, the normal stuff, what went right, what went wrong, what could we do better? But also looking at yourself and seeing yourself as someone who can overcome challenges and building that resiliency within yourself, because suddenly a delayed flight or someone, it doesn't become as significant when you refocus on the mission that you're trying to accomplish. So I think entrepreneurs can leverage it by seeing it always as an advantage that, yeah, it sucks. It's not always ideal, but we learn incredible resiliency and we create some of the most incredible creative solutions that come out of those moments.
That's right.
So I kind of love it and I like to celebrate it, but it's really getting more comfortable and not trying to push it away or trying to avoid it altogether, that bringing it in as sort of, this is here, we can learn from it, we can get better at it, and we can move quicker from the reaction to the response.
Sure, sure. The old adage, life's 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it, right?
Completely.
Yeah.
And really practicing that and really noticing when things change outside of your control, how you feel, and then what's your default reaction. I call it the ABCs. I feel like people either try to avoid it, or they try to blame something or someone else, or they just complain about it while it's happening.
Yeah.
But there's really no value in the ABCs in the moment that that event is happening. We have to move to an effective response, sort of assessing the situation, creating a new plan and executing on it.
I love it. I love it. What is your advice for entrepreneurs who are currently navigating through chaotic work environments?
I would say lean in, start to really embrace it, see what you can learn from it, challenge yourself and really refocus on the mission. It's always about what got you there at the beginning, what inspired you, what motivated you, what are you actually trying to accomplish? If you refocus on the mission, you're going to be re-inspired to keep going. And if the mission is feeling too overwhelming or you feel like there's too many chaotic events hitting you,
Sure.
Pull it into a micro mission that you can accomplish today. And that will re-inspire you to push forward no matter what. Because look where we are. Look at the opportunities that surround us. We may not always have everything we want, but we definitely have everything we need to accomplish what we've set out to do.
That's right. That's right. Wow, that is very powerful information and great advice for really anybody, whether you're a stay-at-home parent or you're going into business or you've been in business. This is just great advice for anyone. Corinne Hancock Scott, serial entrepreneur, keynote speaker, and TEDx speaker, I might add. If you want to check her out online at YouTube, it's certainly what you should do, and check out her TEDx speech there. Thank you so much for joining us. Very much appreciate this. I've got about 10 more questions I'd love to throw at you, but due to time, we can't do it. Love to have you back to do a follow-up.
Would love it. Thank you so much, everyone, and keep thriving in chaos. You got this.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Jim Fitzpatrick, exclusively on ASBN.com.